Go Blue, everybody. Really? The Pop-Tarts Bowl is Michigan's ceiling with all this talent and also recruiting news and Indiana preview with our very own Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports. It's all coming to you next on Michigan Wolverines Live.
You guys should check out the Michigan Wolverine Live. They're out here doing great things, doing great podcasts, great live shows. They're really just doing their thing, help them blow up.
And that's right, folks. It's another episode of Michigan Wolverines Live, episode 173. Welcome, everybody, in. My name is John Diadamo, and I'm going to be your host for the next hour and a half or so. As you come in here, just remember that you could be watching this show on YouTube. You could be watching this show on Twitch, on X, or when you're driving, you're on your commute. Spotify, Audible, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, they all work. They all will get us. TJ and I sound pretty good on the radio. Check it out. You're going to love it. As you come in, of course, we always want to encourage you to hit the like button, subscribe, and share with a friend. And last thing before we bring TJ in, we are going to encourage a lot of super chats tonight. Lots of content we're getting to. We're going to have a special guest. We're not going to have a lot of time to highlight regular comments. So we're going to be highlighting super chats, and we're going to be highlighting the occasional YouTube member comment like this. Or how about Bulls here? And Dependent Fanatics, our mod, he's here. My mom's here. Isn't that exciting? So lots of good folks here already. P Maximus, let's go. And to help us, we have some big news. If you weren't part of our almost 10-hour show Saturday, we have some big news we want to share with the class. And so to help us do that, I got to bring on my co-host and the host of the Thursday show here at Michigan at the Voice of College Football, TJ in the house. Go Blue. How you doing?
What's up? What's up, John? What's up, Wolverine Nation? Let's do the damn thing. We got an excellent show tonight. We got the recruiting heat. I promise we got some heat for you guys. We got an excellent segment we're going to get to on who stays, who goes, and we're getting to this preview with the homie at the Indiana channel, Jeffrey. Looking forward to that. And let's do the damn thing. Shout out to every single one of you in the chat. Appreciate all you guys, honestly. Shout out to everybody on the socials, following, giving support to your boy, giving support to the channel. Shout out to my co-host, my co-pilot. And thank you, every single one of you. And we're going to get to it, but thank you, every single one of you, for being a part of helping us surpass Ohio State, because they're a bunch of scumbags, and F those dudes.
So why don't we get to that right now? Very, very exciting developments here. If you guys weren't at about 2 a.m. Eastern on Sunday morning, it was daylight savings time. It just turned daylight savings time. And the other thing that happened is that we officially hit and then surpassed the Ohio State channel at the Voice of College Football. It happened. Woo!
Take that, Ryan Day. Lou Holtz is happy. Couldn't be happier. Look at those Buckeyes crying. We're used to that, though. Yeah, man. I mean, hell of a job, guys. We've been tracking down Ohio State since it was like a 1,700 subscriber gap. We surpassed them thanks to you and everybody watching, and it means a lot. It really does mean a lot. And because we all know there's not a damn thing Ohio State should ever beat us at. And guess what? Voice of College Football is another one. They never will again, even though we are going to be adding Garrison to the Ohio State channel and all that. But whatever, regardless, we're not letting them catch us. So shout out to you guys. Thank you very much for that.
Yes, we are very appreciative. It means a lot. I remember when this thing was like 2,000 away from each other. There was a time where that was the case. We were 2,000 away. When I took over this show. And now it's happening. And that's because of all of you guys, all of you Michigan fans, showing up, showing out, telling your friends, hitting that subscribe button. And just this graphic is beautiful. I love this graphic. Lou Holtz in there just rubbing it in. Brutus the Buckeye depressed. It's great. But yeah, now, throw the third base. We got people throwing the third base, crying Ryan emoji and the hammer emoji. So we appreciate that from our members. Maurice was here at 3:48 a.m. With you guys, TJ.
Oh, you stuck with us. Yeah, we did the 9-hour marathon post-game show. Thanks to you guys. You guys got us there. I drove it, but you guys got us there. So again, man, and I've said it and I'll say it again. We have the #1 Michigan community on YouTube. Period. There's no one on our level. No one's on our level. So appreciate you guys. We appreciate it. You guys make that so, and it means a lot to me and John.
So what does this mean? Hashtag never satisfied. Well, we've got our next goal. Just like Michigan last year, their goals beat Michigan State, beat Ohio State, win the Big Ten, win the national championship. Well, we just beat Ohio State. Now it's on to Miami. That's right, folks. Miami is the largest, other than the main channel. Miami is the highest subscriber count team channel at the Voice of College Football, and we're coming for them. We're less than 1,000 away. We're 950 away from being the most popular team channel on the Voice of College Football network.
Listen, man, Michigan has the most wins in college football. There is no reason Michigan at the Voice of College Football should not have the most subscribers of college football. F Miami. Those dudes can get it too. We're past Ohio. 24-hour rule. I'm over it. They're beneath me. So now it's on to Miami. We got to catch them. So anyone who's unsubscribed, we greatly appreciate you help us get there, because we need to be the standard of the network. I mean, we kind of feel like we kind of are the standard of the network, but you know what? We keep growing. We keep climbing, and we're not done yet, because the fact these dudes are ahead of us pisses me off. So we got to keep working, John.
Keep grinding. Scumbag Steve, YouTube member, great comment here. The coaches and players need to have the same drive that y'all have. Shout out. Thanks, Scumbag Steve. Appreciate you.
And shout out to our Buckeye friend, C. Will, subscribing to the channel. We appreciate that. And listen, man, to the players and the coaches, they're working. It may not be coming together. It may be frustrating, but I promise you they're working. They're not working. I'll say that.
Well, we're going to dive into all of it. But of course, the first thing, final thoughts. Now, if you want a lot of thoughts, go back to Saturday's episode of Michigan Post Game Live, where you can get 8 hours of me and TJ, and then I went to bed. I did a Samuel L. Jackson, and I went the fuck to sleep. Okay, but then TJ went the last hour and a half. Much kudos there. But you can get a lot of our thoughts on there. But I like to come back to this. A couple of days of sleep, a couple of days of reflection, and we look at this one last time before we move on to Indiana, right? And, my initial thoughts were fire everybody. I was pissed. But then I looked at it and with big, because here at Voice of College Football, TJ, we're big J journalism, right? Big J journalism. And we look at everything with a higher level. And then I thought, okay, you know what? There are things here. There are more things I don't like, but there are things here that I do like. I also know that Indiana truly been tested to the extent of, that where they're playing the absolute best of the best? Not yet. And I think there are still parts of our team, even though there's a lot of weaknesses, I still think I saw some hope. Davis Warren, awesome, right? There's hope. And I do think that we saw some good stuff, but obviously Oregon is the #1 team in the nation, according to the rankings, and they played very well. They did, but not world beaters. But they played very well, and they could certainly beat. They clearly have beat all the Big Ten teams they played, so including Ohio. So I guess just after sleeping on it a couple of days and looking back, I mean, what's kind of your final takeaway from the Oregon game?
Our coaches suck. Coaches suck. Davis Warren looked solid. I think the coaches let the team down. I think a lot of players actually played really well. I think the offensive line did a really good job not allowing any sacks. I think the linebackers are really starting to play at all Big Ten level. For Zeke Berry and Amir Hall to be starting at corner, they did an excellent job against Oregon, one of the top offenses. Although, granted, Tez Johnson was out for the game. But listen, you went against Dylan Gabriel, one of the most experienced quarterbacks in all of college football. You went against Dan Lanning, and actually, it was a game. The score was not as close as the game was, and like I've said, and it is what it is. And I don't like excuses either. So, like, at the end of the day, we got to overcome that shit. But it really was not a touchdown, that first touchdown. But at the end of the day, still, you got to. If it is a touchdown, it's your responsibility to do something about it, bro. So, like, it's on us. I'm not. The refs didn't take that game from us. We got to be a better team. But the good news is I saw a fight. I didn't see a team that gave up. I didn't see a team that quit. I think Davis Warren was actually impressive for the most part. Now there was a point in the game where he was like 10 for 12 or 10 for 14. And, and then it did get away from him there. But at the end of the day, like, he made some very impressive NFL level throws. I'm not saying he's an NFL quarterback, but I am saying he did make some really excellent throws. We have a wide receiver issue. Our leading receiver had 3 catches for like 36 yards and a touchdown, which is absolutely disgusting. And I know the Ohio State fans are laughing as I say that. Freaking Loveland's a monster, so like there is good, but the coaching malpractice that is occurring is a problem that is limiting us. We should be a 7-2 team right now. We're not. And it is what it is, man. It's one of those things where we just got to grind out the year, get to the off season, allow Sharon Moore to get a full off season to make the additions with coaching, which we're going to get into about the coaching staff, and acquire the right portal players to get us at least to a far more competitive position than we are in now.
Yeah. I think that brings it pretty logically to the question everybody wants to know about, which is, at least people looking at this as in the talent on this team, TJ. And I know I've said this a million times, but the talent on this team with better coaching goes 10-2. I firmly believe that 10-2 was my prediction coming into the year. And the talent, there might be 5 first rounders on this team. 5.
Right. And that's not some like bias. There's NFL like legitimate draft analysts projecting this right now.
Right. So to go and now we're hoping like the ceiling is a shitty bowl, is not where I think anybody wanted to be coming into this year. Everybody knew that there would be losses because the only way to go is down or to stay the same when you win a title and you go undefeated. You either are going to stay the same or you're going to decline. There's not much else that can happen, right? So that was expected, but I think that even some of the haters are surprised by how much of a decline, and I certainly was. So from a who stays, who goes perspective, I know we want to go through the position coaches, but I do want to kind of tackle Sharon because I think Sharon for me is a question. It would be a question mark. And I think that what you said a few minutes ago, TJ, about the fact that these players did still fight. They did still they fought to try to win the game the whole game. Like they didn't let up. And I think that that's reflective of Sharon Moore. I think that that's a good sign. I think that I think that the when a team gives up, like Florida State. Let's take Florida State. That team just looks like they don't give a fuck.
No.
They have what, 1 win? And they don't look like they care. And I think that that's not happening here. What's happening here is you have a coordinator's problem. You have a Sharon had to kind of take what he could get with the situation the way that it is, and he gets. I'm coming down on the line of he gets another year, but he needs to clean some house here. and we'll talk about the other coaches. But what's your take like on Sharon after a couple of days? Like you made that comment about the team had fight. I think that's valid. So like where are you kind of on him? And then we'll go
I
through
mean, my honest position on Sharon is this: I do think he's in over his head. I do think, especially you can see him challenge that catch. We knew it was an incomplete pass last game. But that's a small potatoes thing. I mean, really, what it comes down to is you just see a lack of adaptation in the second half. You see an interesting approach to substitution of players. You see the way that they are schematically scheming the offense, which is, or the choice of the certain quarterbacks or certain centers or right tackles they're using. And John, like, credit to our show.
Mm-hmm.
We have been on money in terms of who should be right tackle, who should be center, who should be, what position, like, granted, we were on team Orgy for a minute, right? But we were definitely on some, okay, we got to make a change here. And every single time there was time for a change, we were on it. Davis Warren, I was on that. I was like, look, we got to go to Davis Warren now. We went there. Defensively, he has allowed Wink Martindale to completely CEO that defense, which you should. You should delegate, right? But at the same time, Wink Martindale has been at times very incompetent, especially at the college level. And he's put the players in a bad position. It's why our pass defense is ranked like in the 120s in college football. That's insane. We're not used to that. It's not acceptable. And with a first round level talent corner and a high level corner in Jair Hill and the DBs we have and Makari Pages, and that's the thing too. How many players are regressing?
Right.
Who is really progressing? Sure, there's some spots like the linebackers really are, and Josiah Stewart is.
Linebackers and Josiah's who I would
say Jair Hill is also progressing, but there's a lot of players regressing. Makari Page.
Yeah.
What's going on with Khalil Mullins right now? He's regressing. None of the wide receivers have progressed. Some would say
Evan Link looks better. Hey.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like a turnstile at the New York City subway anymore.
We'll see. It's just there's a lot of issues with this coaching staff, and I'm going to be patient for 1 year because here's why. In my dream world, would I go get Kurt Signetti? You better believe it. But in my world of reality that we're all in, it's not happening. So Sharon will be here next year. So what we're going to do is just hope that he gets the right coaches around him this offseason. Because that's just what it is.
Very true. And by the way, everybody, if you want to chime in on who you think should stay or go ahead and send us a super chat. Let us know who you think should stay or go, or any other comment or question you have, and we'll put it up on screen. Even if it's $1.99, whatever it is, send in that cashish, send in that super chat, and let's go. But let's start tackling the rest of the staff. But before we get into the people that are currently there, I have a thought about a position that isn't there right now that I might want to add, and that's like a Biff level position that Jim Harbaugh had, right? Like an associate head coach.
Yeah, associate. That's what it is. Yeah, associate head coach.
Yeah, I could see somebody coming in at that level, kind of like what I know that Kevin Wilson at Ohio State was also helping with play calling and offense, but like he kind of served that role for Ohio State as well. Like it seems like some of these coaches who are, let's face it, still learning. It's his first year actually doing this. Bring in somebody experienced just to give a perspective, like when they're brainstorming, what their schedule is going to be for workouts, when they're looking at who they're going to evaluate for recruiting, when they're looking at how they're building a program. An associate head coach can play a big role, and I could see them. Maybe it's Biff. I mean, he's not doing so hot at Charlotte, from what I understand. So it could be him again. But who? Yeah. I mean, or somebody that he's more used to in his tree. But I guess, what do you think about that idea? Bringing in somebody to kind of just have that extra perspective, having been a head coach and having that experience.
I think it's something. Listen, I have very high confidence that Michigan is going to really evaluate their coaching situation, and I don't think it's out of the question to find an associate head coach who they feel would be a very good right-hand guy to Sharon Moore in terms of leading and building a program. Maybe a coach with some tenure who has a lot of experience. I could definitely see that. I just think that Sharon has to be he will. And so I'm like, I think, but I know he will. I know they will, because Sharon's very well aware that he cannot afford a second bad year. Can't do it. So we'll see what they do. We'll obviously get through it. We'll go through each coach here. We're going to go through each coordinator and each coach, get everyone's opinion on everything. But yeah, I fully expect the Wolverines, just like you're seeing the aggression and focused effort in recruiting, you will see this also with the coaching hires.
Absolutely. And so that was my kind of little wrench in things, just because I literally just thought of it like, hey, this could actually be a good idea to have a senior experience, whether it's Biff or somebody.
Especially now, because you can have coaches coaching on the field during practice, where before it was limited, right? So I actually expect them to really ramp up this coaching staff in terms of the analysts and all of that.
Very true. Yeah, more on the field coaching for analysts. That's a big deal. And Michigan has a long and storied group of people who have been analysts or have helped out in various ways over the years who would be really helpful on the field. So I think that's pretty huge. I'm trying to think of the guy's name who was he took was it Fred Jackson? He took over. Yeah, he took over for Mike Hart when he was sick. And I think people like that to be on the field people. I think that's great. So I have everybody up here. Obviously, we've touched on Sharon a bit. Sounds like he's going to get another year unless Michigan doesn't win another game. In which point he still might get another year, but it would be tougher if Michigan goes 5-7 after a national championship. But let's kind of tackle some of the obviously Kirk Campbell and Wink Martindale being
how about this, John? How about this? So chat, play the game with us. We're gonna go one by one here. We're going to go one by one. We're going to go Kirk Campbell. You guys let us know in the chat. Do you think Kirk Campbell should stay or should he go? I'll give my take on it right here. In my opinion, John, this is a very critical position where we need to definitely look for a new addition. We 100% need a new offensive coordinator, and I fully expect the way the quarterback recruitments are going, the way they want to attack the portal, whether they swing or miss on Underwood, which we'll get into that in the recruiting segment on where that stands and where that's trending. But I fully anticipate that they will hire a very competent, strategically sound offensive coordinator this offseason. Because again, like I've stressed, Sharon Moore knows how critical next season is for his future. So he can go. Which would say you, John?
Yeah, so I like Detroit Kyle's stance here. Kirk needs to be a QB coach, but not OC. I think that's great. I think that's a great take. Yeah, I mean, I think he did pretty well in 23 as quarterbacks coach. He also clearly turned around the Jaden Davis recruitment, which Matt Weiss was trying. He was doing his damnedest to bungle that, apparently. So from a recruiting perspective, I'd like him to stay. And also, I think he did well coaching the quarterback's room, and even JJ. And let's face it, JJ was extremely talented no matter what. But I saw that in certain aspects, from 22 to 23, he was improving in some of his fundamentals, which really came in handy when he then went 10th overall in the draft. So I like Kirk for quarterbacks coach. I think they need to go out. Clearly, Joe Sloan is probably not going to be an option anymore. It sounds like he's going to be a head coach, and we're going to get to that in the recruiting segment. But he was one of my picks. He seems like he's not on the table right now. But yeah, I'm definitely going to say Kirk needs to go for OC.
Absolutely, I agree. All right, so it seems like the chat is in agreement with us. Let's move to Wink Martindale here, John. So, all right, chat, let us know. How much do you guys love Wink Martindale? I'm sure you guys are gigantic fans of Wink Martindale. Love to hear it. I'll give my take on it here. In my opinion, John, Wink Martindale also can go. I know now I do think he should go. My concern is, does this contract limit him from being let go? I'm not quite sure if Michigan is willing to be this aggressive, but I'll tell you what, if they let Wink go, then you know how serious they are, because he's one of the highest paid defensive coordinators in college football right now. But in my opinion, if they really want the true success that I know they want to achieve, I don't think he is a part of that formula. I think they need a new defensive coordinator who's far more modern in the sense of today's college game, or even not even today's college game. Potentially, we have 3 coaching trees in the NFL right now. Who's the next up and comer who wants to be a defensive coordinator? We are a farm system. We've been used as a farm system before for coaches. I don't see why that would not continue. I'd be curious to see if they find the next up and comer who would be good for Michigan. We definitely, in my opinion, we can go. What about you, John?
He can go. I think what he's done with the amount of talent on that defense, I think it's a lot worse than Kirk Campbell's situation, because at the very least, Kirk Campbell basically has one NFL caliber weapon right now, which is Colston Loveland. That's basically it. And so when you look at the defense, there's first rounders all over that field. And I focus on offense, and I'll admit that defense is not my strongest knowledge base. But even I can see Mason Graham's out of position. Even I can see Ernest Hausman's out of position. Even I can see that that the defense isn't gelling the way that it needs to. Did I see things I liked versus Oregon? Yes. Has the defense kept Michigan in a lot of games that really that otherwise would have been complete blowouts? Yes. But is that just talent, or is that Wink? And my argument is it's talent very heavily. And I think Wink was a great decision among a bunch of not great options. But when you have the full offseason to go get somebody like Jim Leonard, who I floated as my candidate for defensive coordinator, because he knows how to run a tough physical Big Ten defense. He's done it at Wisconsin. I think he can do it again at Michigan. But there are others out there, and I just think Wink is he needs to go off into the rocking chair, go to the beach, have a pina colada, just sit back, enjoy your life, man. You had a great coaching journey. Maybe go be an advisor somewhere. Hey, go hang out at the Ravens again. Be an advisor. Go, whatever you want to do, but not at Michigan.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. All right, I guess we'll stay on the offensive side of the ball here, John, and we'll go with the running backs coach, Tony Alford. So Tony Alford here, John, in my opinion, has actually done a decent job. We've had Khalil Mullins actually thrive, although we've seen some regression the last 2 years. Or I'm so sorry, the last 2 games. Donovan Edwards has been frustrating and inconsistent, which has kind of been Donovan Edwards' track record, right? So in my opinion, I think what we need to do is keep Tony Alford for another season. I think he has one. Plus, he's shown to be a very strong recruiter. So, Chad, I'm very curious to know, who do you think? Do you think Tony Alford should stay or should he go? And John, what is your take on that?
Yeah. So first, thanks to Nuber for the $1.99. Wink better update his LinkedIn profile. Damn right. I actually like Scumbag Steve, what he said. Alford can stay for now. I agree.
Yeah,
one more year. I don't think that the issues are as much his fault as others in the program. So I'm going to say he can stay. With that said, we've got, here's one I think we're going to have a lot of consensus on. Ron Bellamy, offensive pass game coordinator, alleged wide receivers coach. What do we think about Ron Bellamy, TJ?
He can go.
Yeah. Get out.
I don't think there's anything needs to be said other than trash, garbage, not good enough. I appreciate you for being a Michigan alum and former player, and thank you for helping us land Donovan Edwards, even though it hasn't been, But we shout out to Donovan Edwards. It is love, but like at the same time, like he's just not doing it. Wide receiver, what wide receivers progress? None. So I'm on the let's move on from Ron Bellamy train. Hopefully, we can get a very competent wide receiver coach who's an excellent recruiter. Even though the recruiting class could potentially be really great in the wide receiver room, but still at the same time, he can go.
Agreed. How about JB Brown? Special teams seem to take a bit of an improvement in some areas last week, but overall it's been really rough. Punting's been bad. Things have just overall not been great. But there were a few decent moments, I thought, against Oregon. But what do you think about JB Brown?
JB Brown can get the F out. Get out of here, bro. Special teams are garbo. Your coaching's garbo. You're supposed to be also the safeties coach. That's one of the weaker points of this defense.
Garbo.
Goodbye. Adios. Get out of here. I'm sorry, sir. Good luck at your next stop, though. We wish you and your family the best, but you can go.
It's
Tommy Doman's a liability, John.
I agree.
Zavada's the only thing that makes JB Brown even look okay. And
that's what's
JB Brown. It's Zavada. He was great at Arkansas State. It doesn't matter. He's garbage.
Yeah. Zavada's what's kind of making me no. I'm gonna say he can go, but I mean it is interesting because you've got obviously you had Jay Harbaugh do it. There's been some really good special teams coaching until this year, and so JB Brown not doing very well. It definitely sticks out like a sore thumb. So I'm gonna say fire JB Brown.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye. All right.
So we got Steve Kasula.
Steve Kasula for tight ends.
Absolutely. One of the brightest spots, no question, in terms of performance, production, as well as continued development. We've even seen some Marlon Klein, some bright spots there. Recruiting's been well, in my opinion, John, no doubt at all. And let us know in the chat, guys, where you are with Steve Kasula. But I think he can stay. He's definitely has a future here, in my opinion, at least for another season.
Yep. This one's obvious. Keep him. In fact, I actually, Rip Stars in the house. I don't hate this idea of, I wonder how, I don't really know. I don't really know how much of the passing, like receiving, he's teaching versus Bellamy when it comes to Colston Loveland specifically. I don't know what the division is there. But I definitely say keep him for tight ends. Definitely. 100%
keep him for tight ends. I think we can do better at wide receiver. I wouldn't put him to wide receiver.
BJM. Brian Jean-Marie we've not been high on him, but in recent weeks things have looked a little bit brighter at this position. What do we think about BJM?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I was frustrated with Brian Jean-Marie, especially the way the linebacker recruiting's been going and on the field play has been going, with Houseman regressing and Barham looking lost. Last few weeks, though, holy cow, these linebackers are playing at like all Big Ten level. I'm impressed with Barham. I'm impressed with Houseman. And the linebacker recruiting has really picked up. I'm looking forward to talking about some of these linebacker prospects in the recruiting segment. No doubt, in my opinion, Brian Jean-Marie has earned himself another year.
Yeah, I'm at first, like if you ask me beginning of the season or early in the season, but linebackers are one of the few position groups doing that I think have improved. So I say keep. Lamar Morgan, who coaches the D-backs and defensive pass game coordinator.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is an interesting one because has the position played well? No, it hasn't. But has Jair Hill improved as the year has progressed? Absolutely has. But what else is Lamar Morgan bringing to the table? He is currently building the best defensive back recruiting class Michigan has ever had in the history of Michigan football. You have Ivan Taylor, You have Kainoa Winston, you have Shamari Earls, and you have my other guy, Jaden Sanders at corner, and they're currently in a position to also land Littleton, a top 75 corner. That's 5, and they're not done yet. But wait, there's more, and we'll talk about that in the recruiting segment. But yeah, Lamar Morgan is just he's our best recruiter. He's a straight up dog. He's the number 3 ranked recruiter in the nation. Lamar, and guess what, boys? Now that the and I know we're gonna talk about recruiting, but like now that the NIL is where it is, he's gonna be just it's going to be just insane. So yeah, he stays. Can't let him go.
I'm with
Need
you.
a coordinator more than him.
I'm with you. He stays. And I think we might have a similar thought on Grant Newsome potentially. We'll see what you think. The O-line coach, it seems it's definitely not been at its best, but I do think, again, just like last year, when early in the season things looked pretty porous, I do think that they've played with they've rolled with the punches, and they've, I'm feeling good. But what do you think about Newsome?
So Newsome is what he is considered a fast riser, a very strong, tactical, strategic coach who is just ahead of his age. They're using him as a project, and at the end of the day, Sharon Moore does specialize in offensive line. This is more of one of those things where Grant Newsome is really an apprentice to Sharon Moore, and I do think he stays. Now, am I impressed with offensive line play? No, but do I think Michigan did him a disservice by not finding a solution at right tackle? Absolutely, because we knew that was an issue in spring ball. It only transferred into the season, and now we see what we have. But no, in my opinion, Grant Newsome gets one more year, and plus recruiting, Babaloa. 2026 is looking really strong for O-line recruiting. And I know recruiting is not everything. On-field results do matter, but you do have to combine the two. And I think a lot of us would agree, some of these coaches are dealing with positions where the cupboard's a little bare. And this would be one of them. So Grant Newsome stays.
Agree. He stays.
Yep.
Lou Esposito D-line is tough because how much of Lou Esposito is you have 2 first-rounders on your interior D-line, and how much of it's coaching. But stay or go for Lou?
Lou's got to stay. Lou's got to stay because this is probably if not tight end, it's the second strongest performing unit in terms of just overall production. And we have seen Josiah Stewart take the next step. We've seen. We even saw some flashes from TJ Guy. Derek Moore, I'd like to see more out of, but I mean, Rayshawn Benny's had his moments. He's got to stay. Plus, he's a very good recruiter, although even though the defensive line recruiting class is not quite where I'd want it, it needs to be better, quite honestly, but it's still solid. It's a solid class. We did take a hit losing Nate Marshall, but at the end of the day, Lou Esposito, in my opinion, is a net positive for Michigan. He stays. And we have one more, John.
And yes, I agree with you on that. And then strength and conditioning, TJ.
Yeah. So the final coach we need to discuss is the strength and conditioning coach, Justin Tress. This is obviously he took over the program after Herbert left for the Chargers. And in my opinion, John, I think we could do an upgrade here. I think we can do an upgrade here. I think they can do better. I'm not impressed. Although I will say, yes, did I see positive weight gain, weight loss at the right positions by the right players in the offseason? Absolutely, which gave me a lot of encouragement. But the way I see this team on the field gassed, the way I see this team on the field at times in terms of mental, fortitude and maybe lack of fortitude, in my opinion, we need a new leader, a new voice in that strength and conditioning room. I think Justin Tress should be replaced, in my opinion.
Clay Johansson has an interesting recommendation. Hire Jerry Kill, former Minnesota head coach, has had a very experienced. Maybe Clay is advocating for associate head coach for Jerry Kill.
Yeah. I think that's
versus strength and conditioning. But yeah, I'm gonna say okay. I'm thinking if you can find someone better, go. But I'm not against giving Tress one more year. I think that there was going to be an inevitable decline after Ben Herbert, who's probably the best that we've ever seen do it, went off to the Chargers. But I think you look. I think it's worth a look, but I'd say give them another year. Like, I think there are way more. I think there are way higher coaches up the chain that need to get out and just get tarmacked. And I wouldn't put Tress at the very top of that list. So not a ringing endorsement, but
I'm not sold. And someone in the comment mentioned Abigail O'Connor. We're not even going to question Abigail O'Connor. She's good. She's certified. So we don't worry about Abigail can stay. She has a lifetime contract. Well, I mean, she doesn't, but you know what I mean? She should.
Yep. And before we get to our recruiting, TJ, so that's who stays, who goes in coaching. We do have some announcements on super chats and memberships. So let's start with Moose, who is gifted 10 memberships. Tommy Williamson, Sunny Days, CW2, YouTube Watcher, SEC Football, D Agent 2 Scoops Eflin, Donnie C, Cheryl, OG Cheryl, and finally Todd Gwynn. Congratulations, all 10 of you, on getting Those Who Stay Will Be Champions memberships. And it doesn't end there either. TJ, you think that's it? Oh no, because Tom got into the act. And so Tom Bouchard got one for Justin, and also got one for who's the other one? Xavier Felton. So that's 12 people who just got gifted Those Who Stay Will Be Champions memberships.
Added to Wolverine Nation. We already have roughly 100 members to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Use those cheeseburger emojis. Let the Buckeyes learn, see the hammers. Crying Ryan is always a fan favorite. Don't be shy. Let them know. We got the Buckeyes lurking. They love to see them. So shout out to everyone, a part of the community. We greatly appreciate it. And you guys should have access to our monthly hangout, which is the third Monday of every month. Mm-hmm. Stay tuned for that. It's always a good time.
Yep. So it'll be the 18th this time around, third Monday. We've got a couple of super chats to hit. So Elisha says Ron stays because of elite wide receiver players.
Elite
I don't know.
Wide receiver players. Yeah, so,
yeah, I'm not going to say that word, but yeah.
Ron definitely has a type, and it's a wide receiver under 6 foot who's not that fast.
Yeah, so not ideal. But Elisha went after. This is a good. I like this one. Why not go after Iowa's strength and conditioning coach? Them boys stay physical, and I agree. I will say one thing. Elisha, with Iowa specifically, is that it tends to be a network that stays together. Like it tends to be buddies of Kirk. So it's Raymond Braithwaite, who's in his 20th year as a member of the strength and conditioning staff. I don't know if that means 20 as that, but yeah, I think Kirk tends to not lose people. And when he does, it's because he has to fire them like his kid. Oops. But yeah. I don't hate the suggestion though.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'm open to ideas here because I do think we can do better. I'm not happy with Justin. I'm not happy with Justin Trust, bro.
Yeah,
he doesn't. I mean, I got some things I could say, but I'll just leave it.
Scumbag Steve, thoughts on Loxley from Maryland as OC if we don't get Underwood? If we can get Malik Washington and a transfer QB, hell, man, Loxley, absolutely. He called plays at Alabama. They won a natty. I'm in.
Yeah, but
we can get him. Let's go.
Not even just being an Alabama disciple. I mean, I think Loxley is a pretty interesting offensive coordinator. I would not be opposed to that. I mean, he's definitely experienced, tenured. That'd be interesting. It'd be an interesting one. I'm curious what other names start to shake loose as the month progresses.
For sure. Elisha with the 2 has pointed out that because Miller Moss got benched, Moss from the portal, USC. Could Miller Moss be somebody that Michigan looks for in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, again, depending on how certain recruitments unfold, maybe. He's definitely a name I think we should at least be aware of. I mean, there's no doubt if Michigan's unable to land their big fish, then yeah, I could see a player like Miller Moss being targeted for sure. I'm curious to see what other quarterbacks enter the portal coming up. I fully expect Michigan to, as I've said many times, the quarterback next season is not on the roster. they will be big game hunting, whether it be recruiting or portal.
And now I think this is a great one to introduce the recruiting segment. Every show we get somebody who does a perfect super chat that just throws it to the next segment. Like they're doing their job. They're doing my job for me and giving money. So of course I do that. And it's a great question to start our recruiting. Detroit Kyle with the 5. Is the smoke for Underwood progressing? The streets are talking. So the streets are talking about this. Hashtag Go Blue. Also, any word on Sloan to ECU or other? I couldn't think of a better way to kind of get going on Bryce Underwood today.
Well, it's where we're leading. Our intent is to lead here with the Bryce Underwood and Derek Meadows recruitment. So, look, boys, and I know this is why a lot of you guys are here. We have a lot of people really, really loving our recruiting segments, and we continue to bring that fire. So the Underwood recruitment is something else these days, John. Everybody and their mom is talking about it. I even heard it on 97.1 The Ticket today with Lenny and Rico. Look, his parents were at the game again this weekend. So we have 2 weeks in a row where his family and team are at the game. They're not at the game if they're not interested. Let's make this extremely clear right now. And I know there are people, especially because I see him on social media. I even get him on social media on some of my posts saying he's not coming. Listen, you can be in disbelief all you want. You may want to hold the position until it happens. That's fine. But here at this channel, we are simply going to give you what is occurring, our analysis on the pulse of the recruitment and where it's at. I'm not guaranteeing you anything, but I'm simply telling you 2 weeks in a row, his family has been on campus watching a game, as well as his team that he has around him. And I don't mean his football team. I mean the agent and these things. On top of that, Michigan is feeling on their end good with their approach and how they're approaching it. They are very well. For example, Sloan visited Underwood on Friday. That was not unexpected, fully expected. And Michigan allowed, they did not bring a coach to that game because they want to allow Underwood to have his space. And Michigan feels that what they're currently offering Underwood, and not only compensation wise, but also vision for the future, they feel they have a very strong pitch in this recruitment. I have told you guys that I am at a 65% confidence level in terms of Michigan landing Underwood because I know where things are. But there's been an interesting little turn of events here, John, that is potentially possible of occurring. And that is one of the biggest reasons, which our man Detroit Kyle hit on. One of the biggest reasons Bryce Underwood has interest in LSU, Joe Sloan. He has been offered the head coaching position at ECU, which is his former college. He's an alumni of ECU, and by some accounts, the interest is real. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, if this progresses in that direction and Sloan does go to ECU, my confidence level is going up, and it's probably going up to the 75-80% range. And it may, and to be real with you, it may even be a checkmate. It may even be that drastic. If it happens, I'm not guaranteeing you a damn thing. I'm simply telling you the current pulse of the recruitment, where it's at, and it's a major deal. And apparently ECU is very ambitious here with trying to land Sloan. We'll find out. Obviously, it's early November, and this is one of those things where we have to let things unfold. It's going to be a few weeks before it gets more transparent. But the fact that this is already something that's being leaked and something that because they fired their coach, I think it was October 20th. So they're already making moves. And the fact that Sloan is their target and he's the biggest draw for he's one of the biggest reasons why Underwood likes LSU. This is a game changer. And there's even more to that. Derek Meadows, John. Derek Meadows visited this weekend. And if you have been watching our show, you would know that Derek Meadows, for over 2 weeks now, is the mystery wide receiver that Michigan has been courting. We knew there were some rumblings out there. We knew that some people felt that there was a wide receiver attached to Bryce Underwood. And I told on our members hangout last month, John, I said, I don't quite know who it is yet. But the very next day, I did get word on who it is. And I brought it to you guys 2 weeks ago. Derek Meadows was that guy. And lo and behold, who arrived on campus, John?
Hey, Derek Meadows.
Derek Meadows. And let me tell you guys something very, very clearly. He is not coming to Michigan on campus to visit if there is not mutual interest with Bryce Underwood in Michigan, because the only reason Meadows comes to Michigan is if Bryce Underwood comes to Michigan. If Bryce Underwood does not come to Michigan, Meadows does not come. And please understand, this was an unofficial visit on his dime. This was not an official visit for Meadows. This was an unofficial visit that he paid for to come up here to check it out, to make sure. Let's make this very clear right now. To make sure that if Underwood comes to Michigan, he's okay with that move. That is why he came. And you know who was working with Derek Meadows? Sean McGee, our general manager. Our general manager was with Derek Meadows. And he's the one making a lot of these moves in terms of the collective, the NIL and all that. So no bullshit. Things are cooking. His family was here 2 weeks in a row. Meadows just visited us on his own dime, who happens to be another LSU commit. Sloan has interest from ECU to get a head coaching position. But wait, John, there's more. Elijah Dotson, who we will get into, is a teammate of Bryce Underwood. Okay?
There you go.
Plays for Belleville High School. Very good player, athlete, number 10 ranked athlete in the nation. Plays wide receiver, plays DB. He's Bryce Underwood's number one target on offense.
Boom.
Guess who's projected to come to Michigan, John? Elijah Dotson. And you know who's crystal ball to come to Michigan? Elijah Dotson. And you know who's likely going to be blue here in not too distant future? Elijah Dotson, who happens to be really good friends with you-know-who, that number one quarterback in the nation. So as anyone with common sense can see, dominoes are aligning, right? The stars are aligning here, boys. And I'm just going to let you know right now, the collective, no question, and I can confirm this 100% without a doubt, is going to do whatever it needs to do this. I am not guaranteeing you anything, but what I am simply telling you is the collective is going to do whatever it needs to do this. And there's a reason why their family has so much interest. And there may be people out there, well, why isn't Bryce Underwood making the recruiting visits? Why is his family going? Because it's business, my friends. And Underwood has already been on campus many times. He knows everything about the school. He's been recruited by them since he was in middle school.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to come see the locker room. He knows what he knows.
Right.
He knows what Schimbecker Hall looks like. He knows what the big house looks like. Things are being handled very, I would say, uniquely right now. And it's because of how big and serious this is. Now, Underwood will take a visit to LSU this weekend. He's going to go to the LSU-Alabama game. Michigan is applying pressure to try and close the deal. But I also want to state this also clearly, because I know I'm going to get this on my social media. Just because he goes, it's not over. Okay? LSU is not going to stop recruiting Bryce Underwood. This is an official visit. It costs Underwood no money to go. It's a major weekend. Let's hope Alabama kicks their ass, which they probably will. Let's hope Sloan goes to ECU. If these things occur, Michigan is, and also, Michigan's not going to stop recruiting Underwood. We know kids are going to take visits. It's going to happen. It's okay. It's not a game. It's not a deal breaker if he goes to LSU. We'll be okay. It'll be very interesting out of that weekend, though. I will say this, though. Let's see what the reports are out of that weekend, where we stand, where things are. I fully expect Michigan to not let off the pressure here. Michigan's all in, and there's no doubt about it.
That's very exciting. Yeah, if Joe Sloan leaves and goes to ECU for a head coaching job, we might be going from 65 to 69%. Nice. And then up and up from there.
I'll be honest, I'll probably be at 80 if that happens.
Yeah,
I'll probably jump to 80.
I'm going to be high. I'm going to get higher too, for sure. But Elisha we have a couple of super chats, and then we'll get to the rest of the recruits. But Elisha, in the last 3 recruiting cycles, 2 out of the 3 quarterbacks came out of Michigan. We can't let Underwood leave the state. He is definitely needed. Couldn't have said it better. We got to do everything.
Yeah.
Let it not be a money thing. Let it not be a thing that Michigan could control. If it's geography, if it's weather, that's different, right? Because Michigan can only do so much about that.
Michigan is doing absolutely everything it possibly can to land this. If Underwood does not come to Michigan, it is simply due to relationships. And as I've stressed very clearly in this segment so far, his biggest relationship is Sloan. He goes to ECU, guys. I mean, and even if he doesn't go to ECU, he still could end up in Michigan. That's how serious, like that's how hard Michigan's pushing right now. And I do feel good about it. But granted, there is an official visit coming with LSU and for the Alabama game. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Couple more super chats here. Yes, we will see. We'll stay tuned. Bird Mouse with a 10 burger coming in here, recommending we do a live show at the Big House. Bird, I would love to do a live show at the Big House, except the Wi-Fi is not conducive to doing a live show at the Big House. If you notice anybody who films from the Big House, it's a recorded clip. Nobody is recording for even like the Sam Webbs. It's a clip. They're recording with like a cell phone, and then or they're recording with a camera, and then they upload it later. There's not a lot of live because the Wi-Fi is so bad. However, definitely open to doing something at like Ashley's or something at, somewhere else nearby. Hey, anybody want to sponsor? Who's a Michigan based?
Fire, bro. Ashley's would be fire.
Ashley's, somebody like that. Sponsor us, and I'll fly. I'll get up there. Luke Spalding also with the 5. Just wanted to say, what's up, boy? Hey, Luke. Always good to see everybody here.
Yeah, what's up?
What up?
Go Blue, my friend.
All right. So thanks, everybody, for those contributions. Really, really cool. And we do have some additional updates from the recruiting side. So I'll let TJ kind of touch on some of these.
Yeah, and we already kind of hit on Dotson, but I'll just hit on it again. Listen, this is a top 300 player in the nation, number 10 ranked athlete in the nation. Michigan likes Elijah Dotson. Now, he's currently committed to Pitt. Michigan's trying to flip him. In my opinion, he's going blue. Okay, and it's a really big deal to landing Dotson. Not only brings a talented player to the class who will not only join the best defensive back recruiting class in Michigan history, right? He's going to be an extra recruiter, right? And asset in this Bryce Underwood recruitment. This is a very nice addition if it occurs, and I do think it will relatively soon. Looking forward to that. Great addition to the class. Nathan Owasu Boateng. I know our boy Moose is really excited about this one. Underwood might be, but Boateng might be his second favorite recruitment in this entire cycle. Boys, they got Owasu Boateng to visit this past weekend. And they didn't do it because they weren't looking to close. They were looking to close this weekend. They were looking to really land and hit it out of the park, and they definitely did. There is a very strong belief and confidence out of Ann Arbor that we lead in this recruitment. And he is going to be visiting Notre Dame, and I believe he also has a visit for Texas later in the month. I'm not really worried about Texas, but again, it's recruiting. You never know. It takes a phone call to change everything. But there is a belief that Notre Dame, who a lot of people would believe is the strongest competitor in this recruitment, there's a belief by some that Colorado is actually number 2 right now, and it's not Notre Dame. And if that is the case, and I'm not confirming it is, but there is a belief that some people do believe that to be so, then Michigan is in an insanely good position to close this, land this, and get Owasu Boateng in this class to join Chase Taylor, who I'm very high on. And also, Brian Jean-Marie will continue working on Bradley Gompers, the commit from Duke. But we'll see here. I actually do feel very good about this recruitment, especially from what I'm hearing. We'll see where it goes. Obviously, these official visits are going to still occur with Notre Dame and Texas. But Owasu Boateng loves Michigan. And we're going to see where that one goes. It should be a very interesting recruitment down to probably National Signing Day, I would think, but we'll see if it closes any sooner than that.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that one in particular because that does feel like it's changed from a Notre Dame lean to now a Michigan lean. Like, I mean, if you asked me a couple of months ago, I'd say Notre Dame, but because Michigan is starting to get more serious on the NIL front and more serious with recruiting in general, NOB might be headed to Ann Arbor.
Yes. And let me also please remind anyone who's not aware, the reason why Michigan is loading this class up is to show Bryce Underwood we're going to we're going to put a bunch of talent around you. The reason why, because maybe people missed our 9-hour post-game show, or maybe they didn't catch the call-in show Thursday or last week's Tuesday show. Maybe you're a new viewer, and welcome to the channel. Please subscribe. But the reason why they want to show Underwood that they're willing to get as the talent required to not only put a good team around him, but compete for a national championship. It's not just about being a good team. They want to show Underwood that they want to win another national title, which is what Michigan is very focused on trying to build again, another national championship caliber team. And that is why you see Michigan as focused and motivated as it is in terms of NIL and getting the best talent here at Michigan. And that is why you have seen Michigan hit that switch, which we've been discussing for over a month, John, that people are now starting to catch on. Is because Michigan is not effing around. The collective's not effing around. Michigan's not effing around. They're serious about this, and you're seeing it unfold. There's more to come. Guys, there are commits who are on the verge. We'll say that. But yeah, looking very good there, John. And then we got Grayson Littleton here. Here's one, John. If this is not a tell that Michigan has completely evolved its game in the recruiting world, then and this one doesn't sell you, then I don't know what will. Grayson Littleton is a top 75 player in the nation, one of the top corners in the nation. We already have Shamari Earls. We already have Jaden Sanders, two very, very, very good cornerbacks in this class. Some would argue Shamari Earls is a borderline 5-star. Some would argue Jaden Sanders is a top 100 level talent. 247 thinks he's ranked 112. Grayson Littleton is on this caliber, and he was committed to Clemson, and Clemson has a no-visit policy, okay? And he knows that.
Yeah,
and he came
he's
to
going
Michigan
anyway.
anyways. And he came to Michigan anyways. And Clemson, I don't know if people know this or not, they're the ones who made him decommit. And he knew that would happen, by the way. It wasn't a surprise. They have a no-visit policy at Clemson. But because he came to Michigan, Dabo Swinney said, pull that scholarship. And what we have here over the weekend is crystal balls have been put in for, I believe Steve Lorenz put in a crystal ball, so we'll give credit here. He put in a crystal ball for Littleton to join the Michigan class. Michigan knocked it out of the park this week, and they did a great job for Littleton. There is a belief that Michigan is number one right now in this recruitment, but he is going to visit one other school, and that one other school is Texas. So we are right now currently battling Texas because, again, Michigan is a power player in this space. And if anyone's like, oh shit, Texas, guys, I'm just gonna let you guys know really quick, like, we're on their level NIL wise. Like, we are on the level of every single top NIL school in the country right now. There's not a school that we would go toe to toe with right now and be like, oh no, we are outgunned. We're not outgunned. We probably, maybe, likely, possibly have the most guns. And I understand what Oregon has. I am well aware. But please understand when Portnoy made his public announcement, he's not the only donor who is motivated, and he is not the richest. There's a lot of donors right now who are very ambitious right now. So that's where we are with the Littleton recruitment. I feel good about Littleton. Let's see what this Texas visit happens, and we'll see where it goes from there. We will definitely keep you guys up to date on that. Jamar Browder, the wide receiver out who's committed to North Carolina, is projected to become a Michigan Wolverine. I feel confident in saying he will be joining the class. So that will be another addition. We will see when he makes it public. But Jamar Browder is a 6'4" or 6'5" wide receiver who has excellent hands. His hands are elite. And when he does commit, we'll do definitely a prospect breakdown. His hands are stupid elite. It's like NFL caliber, but even better than, it's better than even people in the NFL. Like, his hands are ridiculous. Now, my concern with him is maybe his agility and quickness, but whatever. Michigan's very high on him. We'll go over him when he makes the announcement, but another player looking very good to be joining the class for 2025.
Very exciting, very exciting. And Elisha has a great super chat to kind of put this in a bow here before we get to 26 people. But if we land Underwood, Meadows, Boateng, and others trending like Littleton, Dodson, Gumfers, what's the chances of having a top 7 class? Real
I'd
high.
almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
I'd guarantee it. I'd guarantee it. And they're not even done. Like, they could potentially pull another 1 or 2 players that aren't even really being talked about right now. So yeah, I'd guarantee a top 7 class if they land Meadows, Underwood, Boateng, Gompers, Dotson. Oh yeah, top 7 for sure. I would say top 7 for sure. And then we had a comment where somebody said, "Well, put a lock in, TJ. Your percentage is very high." I have not done that in a little while, but just for you, Bleeding Blue, I will. I will lock in Browder and I will lock in Dotson.
Yeah.
I do that. I am there. It's a lock.
Yeah.
It's a TJ lock. They're coming to Michigan.
Boom.
I almost want to do Boateng. That's how confident I am.
It's looking good. I don't know.
I'm telling you, he freaking loves Michigan, man. But there is the Notre Dame visit. He is a legacy. His brother won, I think, linebacker. He won the linebacker of the year award at Notre Dame. So like, we'll see. I got to see where that visit goes before I put a lock in. But Browder, Dotson, it's looking good, baby. It's looking good.
There it is.
Yeah. We got 2026, John. And I have said for some time now, few months, what Michigan is trying to achieve in 2026 is a top 5 class. And maybe a couple months ago, that might have sounded crazy. You know, okay, we got Brady Hart. All right, he's a borderline 5-star quarterback. Probably will be a 5-star quarterback when the rankings get updated in off season. You know, and then I was like, well, you know, maybe top 10, definitely top 10, maybe no. Michigan's going for a top 5 class, and they had some visitors this weekend, Brady Hart being one of them. And there's a lot of concern with some of the Michigan faithful with, well, if they go after Bryce Underwood, what does it mean for Carter Smith? Well, we saw what it meant for Carter Smith.
We saw that.
Saw what it meant for Carter Smith. What does it mean for Brady Hart?
Yeah.
Well, great news. And I said this on Smith, so I took an L there because because here's why I said what I said on Smith. He did tell Michigan he was okay with Underwood coming in the class. He did tell Michigan he wanted to stay with Michigan. But his family thought on it. A few days later, they decided the best decision for them was to move forward. So that's what happened with Carter Smith. It is what it is. We wish the kid the best. Good luck. Brady Hart, though. Oh, no. Brady Hart says, let's go. Recruiting everybody this weekend. He wants the 25 class to be strong. He wants the 26 class to be strong. He is all in. He's not wavering. He doesn't give a shit about, like, he's like, all right, whatever. Because the reality is, if Bryce Underwood does come, Brady Hart still has 2 years, possibly 3 years of eligibility. I got to look at it again, but he's going to have years of eligibility. It'll be fine. And plus, it would be insane. I'm going to tell you guys right now, it would be insane to have a Underwood Hart QB room. We would be good for quite some time. And on top of that, you land both these quarterbacks, John, the type of wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs. And we're going to talk about one of them. And I'll even hit on Savion Hyder as well. You're getting the best of the best. And so just so everyone knows, Brady Hart, he spent all weekend recruiting guys and putting his hat on. And he was just like, look, come to Michigan. Let's build another winner. You know, like, we're all in. Like, they're all in. He does give me JJ vibes. I'm gonna be very honest with you. Brady Hart gives me JJ vibes, no doubt.
Yep.
The way he talks, the way his focus is, the way his parents have raised him. Brady Hart is, I'll tell you right now, man. I think he's the type of kid who will get us another natty. I really do. He's a true leader, bro. He's a true leader. And I'm not saying Underwood can't do that, because he very well may, but I've just been following Brady Hart a little bit longer because he's been committed for so long. He's a special kid, man. Brock Harris, number 2 tight end in the nation. And this is what I've been talking about you get a Brady Hart, you get a Bryce Underwood, you up your NIL game to being top 5 in the country in all of college football. You start going after big game hunting, and this is big game hunting. Brock Harris, number 2 tight end in the nation. It went well. We'll see. Michigan's in on a lot of top tight ends right now. So we're going to see, and Bleeding Blue asked the question, what about the 26 QB? Brady Hart is the 26 QB, Bleeding Blue. So we're good. We're good money. Brady Hart is going nowhere. But on the tight end, we have a lot of options here. A lot of these top tight ends are very interested in Michigan. Colson Loveland helps. We are a tight end school. We're looking to get elite pass throwers. we're in a good spot there. But Brock Harris is a name we need to pay attention to. I will tell you guys this, and you guys have known my position on this. I do not like to talk about recruiting that's a year away unless it's a quarterback or like a 5-star. Of course we will. But guys, National Signing Day is only like 4 weeks away. It's about to be 2026 season, bro. So we are going to start getting everybody more familiar with these 2026 names. Stay tuned for that. We will be on that. And then let's talk about Javion Osborne, the number 5 running back in the nation. So he visited Michigan this weekend. And you know what he said out of this weekend? Michigan is first without a doubt.
Damn, okay.
Now, to get that out of a player this early in the recruiting process is not easy to do. It goes to show you a couple things. One, the mentality of the recruiting efforts by Michigan. 2, the play on the field is not affecting the recruits. And we knew it wouldn't. We've been telling you guys for a while. It doesn't have the effect it used to, especially with NIL and things of that nature. But 3, our NIL game is pretty damn healthy. When you're getting the number 5 running back in the nation who's saying they're without a doubt first. Oh, and by the way, not only does the number 5 running back in the nation have Michigan as number 1, the number 1 running back in the nation, Savion Hyder for 2026, is likely having Michigan number 1. There's a very strong confidence out of Ann Arbor that Michigan is number 1 for Savion Hyder and number 1. And we don't. There's not even a confidence. We know he put no doubt. There's no doubt that he's number 1, or he has Michigan number 1. Javion Osborne has Michigan number 1 for him as well. And you better believe Michigan is going to try and land both. They want to land both Osborne and Hyder. So you will have the number 1 and number 5 running backs. You will have a Brady Hart. And then we have not talked about wide receivers, but maybe a CJ Sadler who's a beast. And who knows? We will get the names for you guys. We will build a 26 list just like we've done for 25. We had you guys all year. We had you guys covered all year. We will have you covered all next year. Stay tuned because Michigan recruiting is hot. Very hot, and they're kicking ass, man. So shout out to Sharon Moore, shout out to NIL, the collectives, everybody who's gotten Michigan to a point of being literally a top 5 program in this space. It's something we've always wanted, and we are here, and we're reaping the benefits. Now, listen, the boys got to close. There's a lot of work to do, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of positivity and momentum with Michigan right now in terms of recruiting.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, the momentum's positive. Keep it tight. Keep it to Michigan at the Voice of College Football as we continue to learn more, get those updates. With that said, we've got a couple of quick super chats, and then we're going to cover our Indiana preview here. So we've got Michigan Go Blue 1234 1234. We are not doing well with our block disruptions. Also, how many times have we tried a receiver screen and 1 to 2 defenders are not blocked? Problems across the board, man.
It happens all the time. I mean, how many times is we do a receiver screen and the guy's getting caught? He's getting hit 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Samaj Morgan. I mean, it's just Ron Bellamy. It's it comes down. It's a few things. One, it's a level of talent at the wide receiver position as well as the coaching, so, again, it's a mixed bag of issues here. Hopefully the boys get it together. We need this offseason to be extremely strong.
Absolutely. Elisha, more likely to hit the portal, Jaden Davis or Orgy?
Orgy for sure.
Yeah, Orgy. I think Orgy's probably
I mean, yeah, because here's the thing though. So the Davises during the Davis recruitment, they actually were for Underwood coming to Michigan. So there was times where, I know that may sound crazy, but like it's true, and they've been public about it. Now, maybe public's one thing and behind the scenes is another, maybe, but they have actually said they do not run from the Underwood recruitment. We'll see. Time will tell on that.
Absolutely. Elisha, shout out Shrek Manuel. Took him 3 years, but
Well, he is in a contract year, and I'm aware that he's been spoken to play ball. And this was around January or February. So we've seen it. We've seen him. Hey, and listen. And we give credit where credit's due. Listen, we are critical award, but at this current juncture, what he is doing, how he is going to these donor events, the way he's becoming public right now, the transparency on revenue sharing from his interview with Sam Webb on August to his interview he just did last week. I mean, it's everything I've wanted. I wish this was the man we had the last 3 years, because my opinion may be a bit different. Although the Harbaugh situation was funky as shit. But, hey, it is what it is. At least he's doing his job now. We can at least appreciate that.
Yep, at least playing ball when he's up for contract renewal. So
Yeah.
it's something. Was the Oregon game the only time we out adjusted the other team's coaches in the second half?
I'd argue the USC game we did that.
Yeah, USC.
Yep.
But it hasn't happened very often this season.
We typically get our ass kicked in the second half adjustments.
So with all that said, I think so Jeffrey has been waiting patiently here in the queue, and we are going to be doing our Indiana preview here with Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports, who hosts the Indiana Hoosiers live at the Voice of College Football. Indiana is favored by 14 to win this game, 3:30 Saturday on CBS. We got Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports and the Voice of College Football. Jeffrey, thanks for coming back onto the show. It was great having you last year. You're back, and now you're running the Indiana channel. How about that?
Appreciate it, John. Yeah, it's awesome. Definitely enjoying doing the Indiana at the Voice of College Football channel. Appreciate the opportunity. And also, it's the perfect year to do it. I mean, Indiana starting out 9-0. I mean, it's like completely different than last year. Last year we were talking when you invited me on. Thanks for inviting me on last year. But we were talking like, hey, can Indiana keep it close? Can they just not get destroyed? And now this year we're like, Indiana favored by 14, and it's crazy. It's just a completely different season, completely new year, and definitely excited about the game. I'm still a little nervous because, I mean, Michigan's Michigan, but Indiana's looking really good.
Yeah, no, it's like you joined. We did the Indiana show, and then Indiana just started winning. It's like you were a lucky charm for the Indiana Hoosiers.
I don't know if I was or not. I've always been talking highly about him for years. Mark was always laughing when I would come on and defend Tom Allen. He's like, Tom Allen stinks, Jeffrey. What are you talking about? And I'm like, well, he headbutted a player. He broke a tooth for the team. Come on. Like, yeah. you gotta give him his flowers. But it did fall apart. It was tough. But I still think that Tom Allen, without him, I don't know if we'd still be here, though. I think Tom Allen's couple of years of success did give Indiana, the hope that we can succeed, we can have success. And honestly, what Indiana's doing this year, what Vanderbilt's doing this year is showcase even what Kansas has done the past few years. Any program can win if you put the effort into it. You get the right coach, the right players, any team can win. Maybe you can't be consistently as good as Alabama or Ohio State, but you can win if you put the commitment to football. And Indiana's finally putting the commitment into football. And like me and TJ talked about earlier tonight, they got to keep Curt Cignetti because all that goes away if he goes to another program. They have to keep him.
Yeah, keep him one more year.
Keep him forever.
One more year, and then Michigan will come calling. And
we want Cignetti forever, but we'll see.
Yeah. So because of Cignetti's success this year, undefeated, I believe this is the first time in Indiana's history you've gone 9-0, and now Absolutely. You're favored by 14. Obviously Michigan is traveling to your house for this game. I mean, what do you think this matchup is going to be like, just from a high level? Like, what's your initial thoughts when you think about this matchup here?
Well, I mean, I just look at the fact that, again, it's unprecedented territory for Indiana being favored by 14. I mean, I'm looking at that banner, and I still just can't believe it. Indiana's favored by 14 against Michigan. They're supposed to win this game. This is not even a toss-up. Indiana is supposed to win. But I still just can't overlook that yellow Michigan symbol, man. That brand power of Michigan. It's the biggest team Indiana's played all season long by far. I thought, like Nebraska, I thought that game was going to be huge when Indiana played them, and then they just completely destroyed them. And now Nebraska's falling apart. Might not even make a bowl game if they lose out, which would be insane like they did last year. But, I mean, Michigan's best team they face based off talent. The talent is insane. Indiana has less talent than Michigan, but Indiana's playing so much better than Michigan this season. That's the difference. Like me and TJ talked about earlier, like Sharon Moore, he is nowhere near the coach Kurt Cignetti is. Nowhere near the coach. Like if you flip coaches, yeah, Michigan would be way better off right now. Even with the rosters the way that they are. Even with Michigan having a terrible quarterback situation, I think Kurt Cignetti would still be doing a lot better at Michigan. But I think that all Indiana has to do is just keep playing the way they've been playing. Just play fundamental football. Don't turn it over. And treat Michigan like they've treated everybody else. Don't get overwhelmed by the fact that this is Michigan. I mean, I was nervous when they played Nebraska. So I'm like, Nebraska's a brand. It's on Big Noon kickoffs there. And then when they play Washington, game days there, they didn't let that get to their head. So now this game's on CBS. I mean, the way that they've played and they haven't let these games get to them, I don't think they're going to let Michigan get to them. Michigan's going to have to outplay Indiana to win. I don't think Indiana's going to play poorly. If Michigan's going to win, they're going to have to outplay IU.
Yeah, TJ, what's kind of your first thoughts on this matchup?
Indiana's for real. And I've been saying that since like week 2. I've been telling our community, pay attention to Indiana. They're legit. Kurt Cignetti no joke. I think he is. And I was telling Jeffrey here on the show earlier that, Josh Pate calls Michigan the last great college football team, because Michigan played as a team. They had the culture, they had the physicality, they had these players who some of them did play above their ranking level, right? And you had the excellent coach, and they were just fundamentally sound in all 3 phases. They were just a fantastic college football team. Well, quite honestly, Indiana is the same exact thing with lesser talent, right? So in terms of 3-phased, fundamentally sound football, excellent coach, players playing above their talent level, it's insane. And if anyone has not watched Indiana, you'll find out this weekend because they're a hell of a team, man. And that said, it's still FU. We're coming for your neck. But no, I mean, at the same time, dude, Indiana, I do have respect for Indiana. And I was telling Jeffrey in the show prior, like the weekend, and I know this is Michigan Indiana week, but I'm looking ahead. When Indiana plays Ohio State, I'm an Indiana fan. Period. Looking forward to that game.
Hey.
Like I said, I'm not even thinking about that game. I honestly am not. I know you are. I know you want it to happen. Steven, Cherry, and the other Ohio State guys don't. But I just hope Indiana plays fundamental football and can get their second win over Michigan since the 80s. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and it's on the road. Like this is gonna be even tougher. And not only that, like what I was telling Jeffrey as well. Like it's on the road. It's gonna be sold out.
Indiana's crowd is legit.
And just so our fan base is aware, Cignetti's going to try and make a statement. Okay, like if anyone saw his Big Ten Media Day and you see his approach to these bigger schools, he wants to show that he is a big dog. He wants to show that he can play with the big dogs. And I guarantee he's going to come for blood. Now it's up to Michigan to respond because here's the reality. We have more talent than Indiana. We have far more talent than Indiana. But our coaches are not on the level of Indiana. And
Absolutely.
That's the problem. That's the problem. And they play sound fundamental football where we play sloppy, unsound, lack of fundamental football. And that's really the polar opposites of what we're seeing. And it's going to be, I'll tell you now, it's going to be funny to watch like a really well-coached team versus, although I'll say, listen, there have been bright spots. Offensive line's looking better. Davis Warren's looking good. But all right, we'll talk about Indiana's offense and get into Michigan's defense. But like at the same time, like it's an interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to it. But I think Indiana's a damn good team.
Yeah, for sure. And you look at the quarterback situation, very different from when we were talking Sorsby last year. So Curtis Rourke, senior, He has 2,204 passing yards in the year, 19 touchdowns, 3 picks, and a 91.6 QBR, second in the country.
Yep.
Second in the country QBR.
John, they have the number one offense in the Big Ten. They're averaging, what is it, 40? Let me get this. It's 46.9 points a game, something like that. I had it earlier, but it's insane what this offense is like 10 points per game higher than Ohio State. So Ohio State's second in the Big Ten, and they are 10 points per game behind Indiana right now. And they both teams have played nobody, although Ohio State did just play Penn State. But James Franklin's a clown. We all know it. So in my opinion, like we're going against a legitimate ass problem this weekend, especially considering our pass defense is ranked in the 120s. So here it is, 46.6 points per game for Indiana. Ohio State is second in the Big Ten at 35.3. And you can't say, well, Indiana's played nobody. Who the hell is Ohio State played outside of Penn State? Nobody.
And Oregon, yeah.
And actually, I was wrong. Oregon. Oh, no, I'm not wrong. I'm sorry. So Ohio State was 37.8, not 35.
The thing is that when you asked about, Curtis Rourke's play with 19 touchdowns, 3 picks, the thing is Brendan Sorsby hasn't even been bad this year for Cincinnati. He's been worse, obviously, than Rourke, but it just shows you that when you actually have a good team around you, you can be good. I thought Sorsby actually was solid last year. I really did. With what he had to deal with a garbage O-line, no wide receiver talent, no running back talent, and he did what he did. It was pretty impressive. And him going to Cincinnati, like, they're a decent team this year. So he wasn't bad. Rourke's better. But if Rourke was dealing with what Sorsby had to do with last year, he would not be putting up these stats at all.
You want to hear the Cignetti difference? So here was Rourke at Ohio last year. He had a 63.5 completion percentage. This year he's at 73.3. He's already up 10%. Last year he had 2,200 yards all year. This year he's already at 2,200 yards. Last year he had 11 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. This year it's 19-3. The player is taking like 2 steps from where he used to be.
He was better in 2022, though, because he had an injury at the end of the 2022 season. He tore his ACL. And so I think that's a big reason he had a worse 2023.
He still wasn't even at 70% completion.
No, he wasn't. But he won MAC Player of the Year in 2022. He was better that year.
Okay. Yeah, 25-4 touchdown to interception ratio.
So he was good before. That injury set him back. It's the same thing with Penix. When he tore his ACL at Indiana at the end of the 2020 season, he sucked in 2021. Bad O-line, but still, he was really good before that. And then he goes to Washington and he does well. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for a guy to get, back on his feet after an injury. But I do agree with you. I mean, Rourke's way better at Indiana, but that 2022 season at Ohio, he was really good. I think they beat Iowa State that year, too.
Right. So obviously, from the Michigan side, that, the defense obviously has been missing some pieces. I don't know if it's been said anything about Will Johnson or the corner situation. But it's not a great time to be down some of your best players, with Indiana looking as good as they are. So not a great matchup there. And the other one's doesn't look much better for Michigan. If anything, maybe the other way around, but we'll talk about it.
Well, the one other thing with Indiana, too, on their offense, sorry, before we get to that, is also that Indiana's run game is really good as well. Yeah. Indiana has a really good run game. I mean, their top 2 running backs are combining for over 1,200 yards, over 20 touchdowns. It's a machine. Indiana's running game is a machine. And that's the big difference that Indiana did not have with Michael Penix. Imagine Michael Penix with a run game at Indiana and a better O-line. Indiana is dangerous. Penix was fantastic, but he never had a good run game at Indiana. He never had a good O-line. That's what's making Rourke have so much success, just because he's not having to do it all. He's got a good running game next to him. He's got better offensive linemen, and the receivers are very good. So I think Rourke's great. Penix was better. Penix just didn't have the support Rourke had. It pains me because I wish we would have been able to see what Penix could do at Indiana with what Rourke has right now. It would have been so much different.
Yeah, run game is strong, and it just looks like a dominant offense that you guys have, straight up, just stomping people, stomping what I think is a competent Nebraska team. I don't think that they're amazing, but I think that they're competent. Their quarterback's going to be really good in future years. He's a freshman. He makes some mistakes, but Indiana just stomps him.
Stevie Scott regressed every year. Texas Wolverine, I will say that he regressed every year. So I've watched Indiana every season since 2015, so I know. Getting called out here that I don't know my stuff.
Oh, yes. Jeffrey is a top tier analyst, everybody. He's been around here longer than a lot of us. And he knows his stuff. That's why Mark Rogers has picked him to be the host of the Indiana Hoosiers Live here at the Voice of College Football. And now we're going to switch over to defense, Indiana's defense versus Michigan offense. Obviously, Michigan has found somewhat of a quarterback, as you know. So there's obviously, I think that there are going to be some things that for your defense to think about. But again, as dominant as you've been on that side of the ball, on the other side of the ball, keeping I just mentioned Nebraska, but keeping that Nebraska offense to 7 points. Washington to 17, Michigan State to 10. It seems like it's improved the last couple of games on how you're holding back teams. So what would you say is kind of or some key people or some key things to look for in that matchup?
Definitely Mikel Kamara. I mean, that guy is a beast on the D-line, leading the Big Ten in sacks. Not an Ohio State or a Michigan player. An Indiana player is leading the Big Ten in sacks, which is insane. And he's up there in tackles for loss. He might be number one, but he's up in the top 5 or 10 in tackles for losses. He's insane. He's a fantastic player and should be playing on Sundays. I've been looking at draft boards. I know we're not even close to that, but I'm like, where are the Indiana players on the draft boards? Like, Rourke's not there. Mikel Kamara's not there. I'm like, what's going on? Mikel Kamara is really good. I love D'Angelo Pons in the secondary. He's a problem. Like, I know Will Johnson is more talented. Like, Michigan, just way more talented than Indiana. But D'Angelo Pons at 5'9" is a problem at DB. Those 2 picks against Washington were insane, especially the one where he had to go up on a 6'3" player, and he fought for the ball and took it away at the peak. I mean, like, he jumped so high to get that thing. And Indiana's linebacking core, one thing you can say about Indiana, the one constant that Indiana has had in the last 6, 7, 8 years, they've always had a good linebacker, whether it's Aaron Casey, Cam Jones, Micah McFadden. Well, now Indiana has Aiden Fisher and Jalen Walker, 2 great linebackers. Aiden Fisher is like up there in the top 3 or to 5 in the Big Ten in total tackles. Just an overall fundamentally sound defense. Not a bunch of really talented guys, but they are playing fundamental defense. And the problem for Michigan's offense is that, and I know you guys know Michigan better than me, but when I look at their team, it all comes down to Kalel Mullings and Colston Loveland. It's 2 guys, whereas Indiana has a lot of weapons on their offense and a lot more weapons on defense if Michigan's not healthy. If Michigan's healthy, then this is a different conversation, but they're not healthy. So, and still Michigan's more talented, but Indiana's playing better. They're way more well-coached. I mean, the thing is, it's not just Cignetti. Everybody's like Cignetti, and trust me, Cignetti's fantastic, but he also has great coordinators that he brought over from James Madison. All these guys are going to be coaching elsewhere eventually.
Right.
That's another problem I'm worried about for Indiana. If Cignetti stays at IU, if they lose these coordinators, how are they going to adjust? Because that's what killed Tom Allen, because he lost the good coordinators he had. Kalen DeBoer was at Indiana. He lost him. He left, and then they tanked on offense. So Indiana's coordinators are great, too, on defense. They got great defensive coordinators, linebackers coaches, safeties coaches. They're all great. It's a machine. And that's why they're so great. It's the perfect blend of just good enough players that believe and a great coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree here. And one of the things that's very interesting about this matchup is, guess who has the number 1 run defense in the Big Ten? Indiana, which is Michigan's strength, right? So you'd say, well, then I guess we probably need to counter with passing.
Mhm.
Well, they have the number 7 ranked defense in the Big Ten, which happens to be our weak point. Now, Davis Warren has looked good, has looked better. He shows improvement. So
Way
my
better than
hope is
Jack
that-
Tuttle.
Yeah. So my hope is that Michigan can, because I feel like we're gonna have a tough time running the ball. I'm gonna be honest. I think we're gonna have a tough time running the ball. I mean, look, last week against Oregon, Oregon's good. Oregon's good. We know this. But Oregon's run defense is not even close to Indiana's run defense statistically.
Mhm.
Now, some will say, well, look at Indiana's schedule. Look at Ohio State's schedule minus Penn State. And I guess Oregon too. Like, we'll give them Oregon. 2 guys, whatever. But at the same time, they're a good freaking team. So what is Michigan's approach going to have to be? Davis Warren's going to have to do what he did against Oregon and make plays. And he did make plays. And I do think it's possible that with Davis Warren, you can actually keep Indiana a little honest. And you should be able to get some running plays. Now, what's discouraging for me as a Michigan fan, and I know you guys all know this, Khalil Mullins has regressed the last 2 weeks. He's averaging like 2.8 yards a carry. It's something like that. And Donovan Edwards, as we know, is inconsistent. So there's some concern here. I'm going to be honest, like going into this game, I don't see where Michigan can exploit this Indiana team. Not offensively, not defensively. Don't get me wrong, though. There's ways, and we will get into it in the three keys of the games. There's ways that Michigan can attack this game and get a victory. I do believe we could, but I think a lot is on Indiana's side. It being at home, home field. Signetti wants to make a statement. They're locked in. We are the hunted, guys. We are not the hunter. We are the hunted right now. And it's an interesting situation for Michigan to be in. And I know there's some people in the comments like it's Indiana. I'm telling you, this team is
It's almost getting frustrating at this point because the thing is nobody's acknowledging how well that they've played. If Indiana lost this game, it still doesn't mean that they're bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's what will happen. If they lose, everybody's gonna be like, Indiana's bad. They're terrible. No, they're not. This is the best Indiana team I've ever seen. Better than the Penix team because it's a complete team.
If Indiana loses this game, you have Ohio State to show the world it's real. And make everybody love you. Because everybody will love you. Everyone in the Big Ten is going to root for you that day.
Sure.
You know, and if you guys make the playoffs, like I said on your other show, if you guys make the playoffs and like, you know, John, how like sometimes like people are like, oh, I'm not a Big Ten guy. I don't root for Big Ten teams in the bowl games. And if Indiana makes the playoffs, I think everyone in the Big Ten is going to root for Indiana, bro. Unless you're like Purdue.
Yeah.
But like, you know,
why wouldn't Purdue root for Indiana at this point? I mean, they got nothing to even talk about right now.
But don't they? But
they're where Indiana was last year.
Hold up, isn't Purdue your like biggest rival?
Yeah, Indiana and Purdue are the biggest rivals, but I mean, like,
why would they root for you? They're not rooting for you.
Well, I'm an Indiana fan, and I was rooting for Purdue when they had the good season. They had a couple with Aiden O'Connell. I was happy for them. Like, go Purdue. Well, I mean, I don't like Purdue. But I mean, I wasn't like against them. Indiana was terrible. So what? You can't talk. It's like Auburn fans trashing Alabama right now. It's because they lost to Vandy. Auburn sucks. What do you got to even say?
Yeah, I don't know, but like I'm just saying, I think Indiana's a very unique story. I think it's
you're
fun.
Good. I just thought it was funny.
I just hope you guys keep him for one more year and we poach his ass. That's all.
Just don't want that to happen.
Hey, there will be probably some calls to agents. But
Indiana's NIL support. I brought up the comment earlier. I'd have to go back, but I brought up for brief. But Texas Wolverine made the comment that Indiana is a sleeping giant. They absolutely are a sleeping giant because of the fact right here. Michigan fan but graduated from IU, biggest alumni base, huge NIL potential, top 20 in endowment, sleeping giant. They have the second largest alumni base in the country. And they got tons of guys that got buttloads of money. I'll just say it like that. They got tons of money. And the thing is now the fans care. They're showing up.
You need Signetti to rally the troops. And it's in revenue sharing starts July of 2025. So it's going to be interesting to see if Signetti is trying to build something at Indiana or use it as a stepping stone to be determined. We'll find out.
All right. So we are now onto that part where everybody gives their keys to victory, and we'll start with Jeffrey. I asked you this question last year. It seemed pretty far-fetched. I'm asking you this question this year, and it seems very realistic. What do you think is going to need to happen for Indiana to win this game on Saturday?
Honestly, I think for Indiana to be able to win this game is they just have to keep playing the way that they have all season. They just have to keep playing the way they have all season. Do not look at Michigan's, logo on the helmet and get scared, nervous. Intimidated is the perfect word. You can't get intimidated by Michigan. Michigan is the more talented team, but they are not playing like it. Indiana has all the momentum. You've got a bye between this game and Ohio State. You do not even have to think about Ohio State. You have a bye between these games. It's all on this game. Everybody in the country, I don't know what other games are on at 3:30 on Saturday, but everybody's going to be focused on this game. It's on CBS, just like the Nebraska game on Big New Kickoff, and just like the Washington game on Game Day and all that. People were focused on them. They didn't waver. They played great, especially against Nebraska. I think they would have probably been able to beat Washington by more with Rourke, with Jackson. The offense struggled. That's why they only won by 14. They probably won by more. But I think if they just play the way they have all season long, do not let Michigan's, aura get to them of being a great team historically and even last year, then I think Indiana will be just fine, because Michigan's offense is not great and Indiana's defense is great, and Indiana's offense is great and Michigan's defense is really good. But to me, it's trending down slightly, because when you start losing a lot of games, your defense just isn't going to play as hard. It's just the way that it works. So I think Indiana will be fine as long as they just play fundamental football. And you want me to go in and make my prediction?
Well, TJ, if you wanted to give your keys first.
We do keys of the games, then we hit predictions after. Okay. So my keys of the game is kidnap Kurt Cinetti. I'm just kidding. We got to pressure the quarterback. If we let O'Rourke get comfortable, it could be a long day for the boys. But if we can dial up some pressure, good pressure, not crazy-ass blitzes that leave us vulnerable, like legitimate four-man pressure, we have a chance in this game. We have got to win the turnover battle. If we are going to win this game, we have to win the turnover battle. Davis Warren played really good last week with limiting his turnovers. No interceptions. Played much better than he did against what was the game where he threw those three crazy? Was it against Arkansas State maybe? I think it was. So just play clean football. We got to play clean football. And then here's a big key for me. We want to win this game. You do not let them score 7. You only give up 3. You give up 3. You pressure the quarterback. You win the turnover battle. Michigan can't come away with a victory in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think I give both. So for Indiana to win, I think, like you said, Jeffrey, I think they need to keep playing their style of football. They're physical. They're tough. They can throw the ball. They can run the ball. They can do all the things that Michigan would like to be able to do. And so I think they keep doing what they're doing and play disciplined football. Rip has been a little.
I don't understand, John. Michigan lost to Washington.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. Rip, I think. Yeah, Michigan has lost some really.
Didn't mean to interrupt you with that. I'm sorry.
No. For Michigan to win, I think they need to play really strong defense. Maybe pick off. Get an interception or 2, turnover battle, like you said. And Davis Warren needs to do what he did last week, but who needs to help him out? The wide receivers. Can't have drops. Can't have these receivers need to get their separation. They just need to do a better job of that. Maybe you find a wide receivers coach who can actually coach and bring them in for this couple of days, bring them in for this game, because Ron Bellamy certainly can't do it. So that's the keys there for both. And then I guess for predictions, Jeffrey, what's your score prediction on this? Who's winning? What's the score?
I agree with your statement about having to hold Indiana to field goals. Can't let them score touchdowns, because like I said on Indiana Voice of College Football with TJ earlier tonight, if Indiana cracks 30, they're going to win. Michigan, like TJ said, has not cracked 30 all season. Indiana's cracking 30 every game, basically. I mean, you just look, everybody they play, they're just getting 30, 40, 50. You know, they're destroying teams. So if Indiana gets 30, they're going to win. I think Michigan's going to keep Indiana in check for a lot of the game. I think it's going to be close. I think Michigan will fight hard because, yeah, you know, there is a little bit, you know, there where you say, well, Indiana's, you know, they're not great. You know, they're overrated or whatever. And we want to beat them down. I think they'll keep it close, but I do think at the end of the day, Indiana will win 31-17. I think that Michigan's going to struggle to score enough points to win. And I think Indiana's offense will be able to get to that threshold that they need to get the win. I mean, if Michigan won, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, I know a lot of people are saying I'm being too arrogant and cocky or anything. I'm nervous as heck about this game. I've been nervous about every Michigan State scared me. I was like, okay, we're down 10-0. Oh no, we're going to end up blowing it. Then they win 47-10. Curt Cignetti's given me the confidence to believe in this team because I've been nervous all year and I'm still nervous about this game. If it wasn't for Cignetti, I probably still wouldn't even pick them to win. But Michigan's looked bad enough and Indiana's looked good enough. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. But you never know. They could lose. But I'm going IU by 14. I think they'll be all right.
Wow. All right. Putting a statement out there. TJ, what about you?
Yeah, so I think Indiana's a really good team. I've respected Curt Cignetti since his a lot of people made fun of him for his Big Ten media comments. I actually thought I respect a man who calls a shot and then it's up to you to back it up, and he's done it. And I absolutely love his little quote to recruits where, you know, what's your recruiting pitch? I win. Google me.
Google me. That was so great.
I respect that shit, man. I do, because like, listen, there's one thing to be cocky and can't back it up. There's another thing to be confident and back it up. And he's confident. He backs it up. I'm telling you guys, he's coming to make a statement. I hope the boys pull it out. Hope they fucking expose Indiana. I really do. But I do have Indiana winning the game 34-24. I want to be wrong. I hope to be wrong. But I do think Indiana's a damn good team. And I also think Indiana is going to give Ohio State a hell of a game. And I actually think Indiana could. No, Steven, you're going to be down bad when Indiana waxes your ass because they're going to beat Ohio State. I'm going to tell you guys, Indiana's
I think TJ needs to come on over to the Indiana channel. Come on.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Hey, the week you play, I'll tell you what. Now. Jeffrey, if you beat us this weekend, you got the week you guys play against Ohio State, I'll join your show.
All right. There you go.
We'll talk that ish, bro.
Guest appearances being discussed on air, and we are rolling here on this very special Tuesday, and I am going to give it 24-17 Indiana. Sadly, Indiana, it's a clean sweep across.
Thank you, John.
Tough, but look, we've been calling our shots this year. It would be great to be proven wrong, but them's the breaks there. Jeffrey, always great to have you on the shows, as we always like to do. Final thought for the audience, and then where people can find you, including on Indiana Live at the Voice of College Football.
Oh, I appreciate it, John. Thanks for having me on. Love the chat. You know, the people going crazy. You know, they're not used to seeing Indiana win. I'm not used to seeing Indiana win. So that's why, you know, I've been an Alabama fan since I was 3 years old. So I mean, I know what winning looks like. But for whatever reason, just started rooting for Indiana a few years ago when they were really bad, and just like, you know, it's a team I've always felt bad for, and now they're winning. Now they're ranked over Alabama, which is insane. My mind's still blown with that. So definitely appreciate you guys having me on. And you can find me on my YouTube channel, Only Talk Sports, where I talk sports every single day, or at least I try to. You can find me over there, college football, college basketball, NFL, and NBA. You're not going to want to miss any of that, especially if you're a fan of pro sports, because I know like college football, Voice of College Football is all about football. But definitely,
we do basketball.
Sports. Appreciate it. The thing is with basketball, I was actually going to ask you about that, because I can do, you know, Indiana basketball content as well. I mean, I didn't know. So definitely. So I didn't know if we could do that. Like,
Jeff, do some Indiana basketball. You need to.
All right.
Although Dusty May is going to wax, he's going to own Indiana this year. Let it be known.
Oh snap! Austin's in here.
Come on, Austin. Come on.
He's going Mish. He's calling his shot too. Sports Talk with Austin. obviously, they do a lot of shows together and have in the past, and that's how I met them all. Was the Young Guns, and they were doing that show. Told him that Brahm would be okay. Brahm, you'll have a good coach with Brahm. Don't worry about it. And it turned out pretty good first season there. But all right, man. So
but also you can find at Indiana the voice of college football.
I was gonna say Indiana football at the voice of college football, Indiana Hoosiers live. And that's every Tuesday at 7. So like before this show. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Hey Moose, give your score prediction. He's calling us out. Moose is calling us out.
Moose will probably have a.
Give me your score prediction, Moose.
Seven.
Call your shot, bud.
Yeah. I think I can kind of visualize what his score will be, but
30-9 Michigan.
Yeah. 7. I think 7 point Michigan 7-point Michigan victory. But anyway, there we go. Bringing it back to the early
that looks
1900s.
like traveling fools. That looks like traveling fools when he picks Miami to win 900 to nothing or whatever.
I was too
generous. And then they end up winning 39-38. Okay.
There we go. All right, Jeffrey. Well, I'm encouraging everyone to stay tuned to the next episode of your show. And thanks as always for being here, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate you for having me come on. And everybody subscribe. I'm sure y'all are to the Michigan channel, but subscribe to the Michigan channel. Stream down below, but definitely appreciate if you guys check out the Indiana channel. It's a blast coming on, and hopefully good luck to the Michigan Wolverines.
Hold on, Jeffrey. One thing. First of all, we gained over 22 subscribers of the show, so shout out to everybody for coming to the show. Secondly, go check out Indiana at the Voice of College Football. We got the link, John. We can put that in the chat. Let's build that channel. That is a channel we are looking to grow within the network. I'll find it, John, if you don't have it. Please subscribe. Check out Jeffrey. You guys want to see a good story in terms of Indiana football. Support our friend here. We greatly appreciate his hard work. And I'm gonna put the chat here. Or I'm gonna put the link here in the chat.
I got it.
John, of course, John's a fucking
boom. Boom. Let's go. He's
way quicker than me.
John and Jackson are the
support our boys. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get that channel monetized, guys. We just started that channel a month ago, Jeffrey. So looking forward to it. Let's get our guy monetized.
Subs right now.
Yeah, let's get it there. Let's get that channel monetized and set up our boy. If you're a fan of the Voice of College Football, the network, you're a fan of our show. If you're a fan of our show, you're a fan of the network, please support our boy. Greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
All right. A friend of the program and now on the network as well.
Absolutely.
So TJ, of course, great show as always. We do want to just give a couple of quick reminders here that I missed because I was trying to go through that as quick as I could. Memberships, please become a member. I see some people that are green now that were not green. I see some people that were green that aren't green anymore. Please come back to the membership because if you don't, you're gonna miss the members only stream that's going to be happening on the 18th. So if you want access to the members only stream, you gotta be a member, and you gotta be a member of the Those Who Stay or Higher to be a part of that. So go ahead. The link is right there to become a member. Click that link. You can pick which tier you're able to do right now. Obviously 3 tiers, and the top 2 get you access to the Hangout. So consider doing that for us. We are growing our memberships again, but always great to do that. Also, don't forget that Mark Rogers has written a book. So Disputed National Champions of the 1990s by Mark Rogers. Coming up, the content coming up on the show. So obviously the rest of this week, we got content for you. So Thursday, TJ, it's your show, the call-in show at 8 p.m. Eastern. So I believe you're riding solo this week, right?
Yeah, and I just want to say our chat is a bunch of savages. I do love our chat. Shout out to Ripstar. You're turning into a bad guy, bro. You're turning one of our savages in the comments. It is all love though. And shout out to Texas Wolverines, another savage. But anyways, Call-in show Thursday, 8 p.m. This is your opportunity to be a part of the show. Call in, talk ball with me. We could talk recruiting. We could talk team. We could talk well, we'll keep it sports. Who knows what the hell's going to happen this week. But anyways, long story short, we are here for it. Come talk some ball. And as you guys know, every 100 we raise in contributions, we go another hour. Saturday, we did a post-game show. We went 9 hours. That was wild. It was a good time, though. It was a lot of fun. And for real, though, you guys are the star of the show. That's just what it is. So we could talk ball. It'll be just me. So, we'll do the damn thing. I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk about heading into Indiana. We'll see what transpires over the next 2 days. Looking forward to it. It's always a good time.
There we go. And Michigan post-game live. As always, we will be here, win or lose, standing in the paint. Last time went almost 10 hours. We're here to make it happen and take your calls and all of that good stuff. And we'll keep rolling. If people keep donating, we'll stay on. So go ahead and do that. Coming up next on the Voice of College Football Network in just a matter of minutes. If you continue to want an escape from other world U.S. shenanigans going on, you can actually do that right now by going over to the USC channel at the Voice of College Football. Here is the link. So go ahead and check them out. It looks like they are doing the Conquest Call-In show, which is so Tim Prangley and Coach Rowe as well. So check that out and give them the support as well, just like you gave us with more than 300 people still on the line from the Michigan YouTube to the Indiana YouTube to Twitch and X and everything else. All right, TJ, with that said, any final thoughts for us?
Yeah, just shout out to you guys again. Hey, joining us on election night, coming to the show. We appreciate that. We knew it would be an interesting night regarding that, but we still wanted to bring a show to you guys. And let's go, man. The team, listen, as we've discussed, the results on the field may not be ideal, but hey, they are working hard. The NIL and the recruiting is going really well. Let's do the damn thing. Let's grind out the season. It's Michigan, baby, and we're going to stay blue, stay true, and appreciate everyone watching, subscribing, in the comments, viewing, all of it. So shout out to you guys. And John, thank you, man, for another great show. I appreciate you, my friend.
Absolutely. Likewise. Definitely stay tuned, everybody. You can follow us. Obviously, we've got TJ_Ronan. You also got John Diadamo. So you can find it in both of these locations I'm pointing to. Go ahead and follow us. We have lots of great takes and everything else. And then definitely we'll see you over on the USC channel in just a little bit. Until next time, go blue. And we'll end things with a message from Mark Rogers, Voice of College Football, for the Voice of College Football bets.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.